So, before running you through a couple of examples of how this website can be used, I'm quickly going to run you through the basics of the homepage. Firstly, noting that this is a beta site, i.e. it's a test site. We're still waiting for feedback from you, the users, before this is formalised. So starting at the top of the page, we have a rotating banner with local images all from around Northern Ireland telling us what the atlas is all about. So, explore the wildlife of Northern Ireland. The NBN Atlas Northern Ireland will revolutionise the use of biodiversity data in Northern Ireland, enabling it to be shared, analysed and researched. The Atlas brings together species and habitats data in one place, and you can learn more about the waters around Northern Ireland. Use the Atlas to learn about organisations collecting biodiversity information, and information on the Atlas will help us understand and manage our environment. Finally, there's information from the NBN about how you can join up and support it. So scrolling down the page, and the first tab we come to is Submit a Record. This directs users to where they can submit their own records and includes both links to the CEDAR online recording website, as well as the iRecord suite of apps. All the records submitted to these portals are collated by the Biological Recording Centre, verified and sent to our local database, as well as the Atlas. The next tab provides help for using the NBN Atlas Northern Ireland. This opens in a new tab, directing users to guidelines and video demos about the Atlas and how to use it. We will explain these additional tabs later in the session. As we continue to scroll down the homepage, we come to the featured species banners. These include links to featured species that will be updated periodically. Using the frog as an example, we follow the link to its species page. Here you will see both its Latin and chosen common English names, and beneath that its establishment means. If it's an invasive species or priority species, this will all be noted here. Next we see a number of images of the frog, which are linked to records on the Atlas. Beneath this we have a description of the species drawn from its Wikipedia page, as well as other online resources. Next to all of this, we have a map of records of the frog from the Atlas, and finally a catalogue of all the other lists that the frog exists on. Further information is available from the tabs at the top. For example, the various common names that may be used, the current classification of the species based on the UK Species Inventory, a breakdown of the occurrence records of the frog included on the Atlas, any literature associated with the species, information on its genetic sequence from GenBank, and finally a list of data providers for the species. This is the standard format for all species pages on the Atlas. Returning to the home page, and the next banner is for featured invasive species. Again, for example, we can follow the link to the species pages. This time we will investigate the carpet sea squirt. We are immediately informed that this is included on the Northern Ireland alert species list for invasive species, with a link taking us directly to the invasive species recording page on CEDAR online recording. When an alert species is recorded here, a member of the invasive species team will receive an instant notification. Again, the species description and distribution map are displayed. In this case, the carpet sea squirt is only known to occur at a specific site in Strangford Lough, as some of you may have seen Connor and the marine team demonstrating on BBC News earlier this month. Back on the homepage, and users are again reminded to report invasive species to CEDAR. As we continue to scroll down towards the bottom of the page, we come to a live banner displaying all the data providers to the atlas. This is followed by some live stats about records held on the atlas. And finally, at the bottom of the page, there is the option to provide feedback on the NBN Atlas forum. As well as a list of partners that have contributed to the development and ongoing maintenance of this website. So, returning to the top of the homepage, and there is a drop-down menu focused on CEDAR. This provides you with links to find out more about us, our information request service, as well as links to our news pages and email subscription list. Finally, there is a link to our Habitas suite of websites. These are managed and maintained by the museum and include locally specific information on species, habitats, and other ecological information. Habitas is a fantastic resource which we intend to link up with the Atlas as we continue with its ongoing development. Under the Species drop-down menu, there is the option to search for a particular species. This is followed by a link to the Priority Species page for Northern Ireland, which lists the 481 species on the existing list. As you can see, the species are categorised by taxon group. For instance, if we look under birds, we will see all the species within this list, and selecting shoveler as an example, we are brought to its species page. The same format is applied to the invasive species page, as well as the sensitive species page. Sensitive species are those for which, should the data be released to the public at full resolution, could be put at risk. Badgers being a good example of this. In this case, records are provided to the Atlas at a lower resolution. Finally, you can follow the All Species List tab to find out which lists exist and which species they include. For instance, the Wildlife Order list. We will now cover the remaining tabs, their uses and functionality, using two examples to demonstrate how the Atlas might be used by firstly an interested amateur recorder and secondly a professional ecologist or researcher. In this first example, I want you to imagine being a member of the public who is exploring botanic gardens for the first time. You have heard about the rich biodiversity found within the gardens, and before you walk, you want to find out exactly which species you should be looking out for. For this purpose, you go to the Atlas. Your first step is to search within the area you are visiting. This is done by either exploring your area or selecting Explore my address, postcode, or location under the drop-down menu. This will automatically open a map with records for the area that you are currently in. Alternatively, you can search for the area that you are interested in. As it is only the gardens that I am interested in, I will reduce the radius to 1 kilometer for records. I can then view all the records, which opens a map with all the records within my boundary. I can click on each individual dot to find out more about the specific record. For instance, the species name, the date, and the collector. I can then select to view that record, which gives me its full details, i.e. who recorded it, where, when, under what survey, etc. I can also view the full list of species under records. So I now have a rough idea of what to look for when I am in the park and I head out. When I am there, I see a plant which looks to me like Japanese knotweed. So I go to my phone and I look on the atlas. Firstly, I enter Japanese knotweed as a search. This opens the Japanese knotweed species page. It provides me with the images and description of the species, as well as a distribution map, indicating that it does occur in and around Belfast. I note that this is an alert species, and so I follow the link to submit a record to the Cedar Invasive Species page. A few weeks down the line, I am able to visit the Atlas website and view my very own record for Japanese knotweed from Botanic Gardens. I'm now interested in getting more involved with environmental recording, and under the Get Involved tab, I follow the link to events. This brings me to the Northern Ireland Environment Link website and its calendar of events for this year. Not only that, but I also have a link to the various recording schemes that I can get involved with on the Cedar website. So, another example of a user of the NBN Atlas are professional ecologists or researchers. Say I am a researcher who is interested in priority species records occurring within the Rathlin Marine Conservation Zone. My first step is to search for the Rathlin MCZ under Locations, this time selecting Predefined Locations and selecting Rathlin under the list of marine conservation zones. I instantly see all the species records that fall within this boundary. I can then view these records and using the customize filters I can define the filters for my search. There are various options for this, including date, species, location, but in this case my interest is in the priority species list. This is found under the species list section. Once selected, the species list is condensed to include only priority species for Northern Ireland. I can view this as the map, which I have the option to download, either as a JPEG or a PNG. Alternatively, I have the option to download the full dataset. For this, you must first register with the NBN Atlas, And there you have the option to either download the full set of data or the full set of species. In this case, I'm interested in the full set of data, which I will download as a CSV file. You must then select your reason for downloading the data, which in this case is testing. However, should you want the data for commercial use, you must contact CEDAR directly. This is highlighted here. Once you've selected your reason for download, you must accept the licensing and you can download your data. So everything I have worked through can also be carried out using the analysis tool. This tool provides users with the option to add species, areas or layers to the map, as well as importing their own data. And the map once again can be exported as a map image, or the full data set can be downloaded again. So there you have it, a very quick introduction to the NBN Atlas Northern Ireland. We encourage you to go away today and have a go yourselves. Search for species of interest or check out what species have been recorded in your local area. Importantly, we want your feedback. This is most welcome and will help us continue to develop this site.